Today on the Badger Red Zone podcast, we're joined by Anaheim Western 2027 quarterback Chance Thomas.
Sure.
Chance, definitely appreciate you coming on. I was reading up on you a little bit before you hopped on here and saw you're coming off a pretty nice game the other night against Villa Park, game-winning touchdown pass with 39 seconds left. Just, what was that like for you to have a game like that so early in your junior season and, be able to put your team on your back like that?
Honestly, it was great. I had the coaches. I knew my coaches was gonna set up the right plays just to get me there. Good players around me, just telling me, hey, because I threw an interception like right before that actually, right before that drive, and they was just telling me, you got that, and don't worry about it. Brush that to the side. So I just give all credit to my coaches and my teammates for that one.
Looking at your offer list is pretty interesting because you're being recruited coast to coast. You go up to Washington, all the way to the southeast and UCF. You got, some Big Ten schools like Wisconsin on you, some SEC schools, a lot of different styles there. How would you just kind of define yourself as a quarterback, or what makes you go? What type of skill set would you say you bring to the field?
Honestly, I would probably say my ability to just create more, like from a situation, like say pocket collapses, I'm able to escape and make something out of nothing. I feel like that's my best attribute, and I get that a lot from coaches as well as and not just from college coaches, from other high school coaches. Like before every game, I always like to say what's up to the other team's head coach, and they always seem to compliment me on that. So I feel like that's my main thing that I'm great at.
Does style of play maybe matter in your recruitment at all? Like you said, it feels like you could do a little bit of everything and then fit just about any system. When you talk to most quarterbacks, they kind of some want a pro style, some want up tempo spread. How do you kind of approach it, or do you sort of take that out of the equation?
Honestly, I take it out of the equation personally.
Okay.
Wherever I go, honestly, I feel like wherever I decide to go, obviously they will be the best fit for me. And in terms of the recruiting process, I don't really look towards that too much. It's honestly just when I look at the recruiting process, it's just the place that I can be the greatest at.
One of the schools, like I mentioned, that wants you really bad is Wisconsin. You were up there for Bucky's Barbecue in June. I like to ask this question to a lot of guys who are either from California, Florida, people that obviously don't get to the Midwest a lot, or from a much different background than what we experience. Certainly weather-wise, culture-wise here in the Midwest. But before that visit, what did you think Wisconsin was, or what were kind of maybe your preconceived notions of what that visit was going to be like before you actually got to Madison?
Honestly, I mean, what everybody else would expect. I'm thinking cornfields, and just like
Right.
fields, grass, just nothing. But yeah, that's definitely what I thought. But for sure, before I went there, obviously.
They always seem to have a struggle. Not that guys from your state or Florida, Texas, New Jersey, wherever don't end up visiting Wisconsin, but it always kind of tends to be an uphill battle for the staff to convince you guys to come up first, just because of what a lot of people think Madison is going to be like. What did Coach Guyton or the Wisconsin staff do to convince you to take that visit initially, when, like I said, you got offers coast to coast, and great options close to home too?
Coach Guyton, honestly, he just the way he explained it to me, him being from Houston, Texas, just telling me like, hey, I know what you think, and I thought the same thing. Like him just being truthful with me about it, just like telling the truth, telling me how he feels about the situation, and how yeah, it's different, but it's not what you think. Like it's still like something, like from us being both being from big cities, I can believe him and what he's saying. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like push everything to the side. People saying, "Oh, it's not gonna be." I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna go see for myself, and I'm honestly glad that I did. I enjoyed myself.
So you had this huge summer tour. You were felt like everywhere at times: Miami, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, to name a few. I think Washington you got up to as well, and I know there were a couple others. After that visit, you said you felt like Wisconsin was the trip that stood out the most. What made you feel that way?
Um, Honestly, just the same thing. Truthfully, just going up there and seeing that this is not what people expect. It's like a city, but it's really a college town at the same time. That was very interesting to me. Just how down to earth the staff is. Great staff. I loved the facilities of the stadium. And I can just tell that the people of Madison, like, they really do care about the Wisconsin Badgers. So, just all that in general, that was awesome.
So one of those highlights of Bucky's Barbecue is you get to do that scavenger hunt, or I think they call it the Great Madison Race. I'm assuming you were teamed up with Coach Guyton for that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, I
Just
was.
kind of getting a feel around campus in the summertime and maybe learning some, Wisconsin history. What did you kind of think of the whole atmosphere out there?
Honestly, it was great. I was out there at a time where it was hot outside, so I'm
Yeah.
sure, as you know, everybody was outside. Everybody seemed happy. It was great. It was good vibes. I learned a lot about the school. It's a great school. I also learned it's a great school academically as well. So, but yeah, it was just great vibes all around. Everybody seemed cool. Everybody loved it. Especially the other recruits that was with me as well. But yeah, I learned a lot for sure. I'm very glad I headed up there.
What are you looking to major in school?
Psychology. I want to
Okay.
because obviously football is only gonna last so long. I want to be a
Right.
psychologist. Yes, sir.
So you kind of talk to me about Kenny Guyton, former Ohio State quarterback, was with Wisconsin. Or I'm sorry, yeah, former Ohio State quarterback, coached wide receivers at Wisconsin for a year. Now he's back at his natural position there. What's he just like as a recruiter? What stands out to you about him?
Honestly, like I said earlier, he's just truthful. He's a great guy. He made sure I was okay when I got there. He showed me around the place. Did all that good stuff. But besides that, like off the field, he's just a great person I can talk to. I mean, we call all the time, just like on non-football stuff, just checking up on each other, seeing how we're doing. Yeah, he's just a great person overall, and he's somebody that I can relate to, being from a big city as well.
What does he just maybe try and sell you on this program right now, or when you guys are not necessarily just catching up about off the field stuff, and he wants to get his pitch into you. How does he kind of just sell this program, or what's his main message to you?
A lot of it is the head coach, obviously, with a
Okay.
winning history, and just how the program is on a rise. How they switch up the offense a little bit. Their quarterback, who is really good, who unfortunately did get hurt in the game, obviously, but hopefully he will be back soon. But yeah, just the different approach that Wisconsin's taking to the game of football. That's definitely what he tries to sell me for sure.
Speaking of those X's and O's with Coach Grimes, the first year offensive coordinator at Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Obviously, last couple years they were more spread up tempo. Trying to get a air raid system going. Now they're back to a more pro style NFL style. I'm guessing you got to talk a little ball with Coach Grimes, and I don't know if they send you clips from fall camp or practices just to kind of get you a feel for what's going on. But what are your thoughts about the new direction of the offense based on what you've seen or heard so far?
Honestly, I love it. It's proven to win games, obviously, and win championships. As a lot of the wouldn't say bigger programs, but programs that have winning histories, they do run an offense like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and just to see that how coach has done in the past, yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'll say, and I'm interested in it. Yes, sir.
How would you just kind of describe the effort Wisconsin's putting in with you so far? How much contact are you having with them, and um, you know, how would you kind of just describe how they're recruiting you overall?
Me personally, I really appreciate the way they're recruiting me. It's more than I do talk to them the most, 1,000%.
Okay.
They have great communication. I talk to all the coaches from player personnel to head head coach, office coordinator, quarterback coach. Just I talk to everybody. They make sure they keep good communication with me, and I do appreciate that. A lot of other schools, it's not so much of that, and I definitely do talk to them the most for sure.
You're going to be coming back to Wisconsin for the Iowa game, correct?
Yes, sir.
What have you just heard about Camp Randall on a game day going into that trip?
I've heard it's crazy. I've seen it. Obviously, all the obvious jump around. Every game sold out. I just can't wait to experience it myself.
So talking about other schools here, you're coming off a visit to UCLA. What were just kind of the highlights of that trip for you at the Rose Bowl?
The Rose Bowl is awesome. Obviously, his historic stadium. Being close to home as well. It's an easy trip, not too far down the road.
Yep.
But yeah, they have a great recruiting staff there as well. Great head coach Deshaun Foster. I actually know him a little more past football because he used to play football against my uncle back in high school. So
Okay.
I know him on a little more personal level. So, but yeah, that was great. The whole trip was cool. Yes, sir.
They have not offered you yet, correct?
No, sir. No, sir.
What are you kind of just hearing from them? Maybe in terms of their interest in you, or where you stand for a potential offer, or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the board, but the way
Okay.
Deshaun Foster runs his program, he wants to see a certain amount of game
Okay.
film, and obviously I didn't play that much last year due to my injury, so that's I'm pretty sure that's just what they're waiting on, just more game film, which is understandable.
Besides Wisconsin, what other visits do you have locked in for the season right now?
Right now, that 100% are locked in. I'll be at the
Yeah.
Kansas State game. I'll be at Arizona versus Arizona State for Arizona State, and then I'll be
Mm.
at Arizona versus Oklahoma State for Arizona. And then
Besides
I'll be at USC this weekend. By the way, I'll be at USC this weekend as well.
Okay.
Sure.
Besides USC, UCLA, are there any other schools still evaluating you this season that could potentially offer down the road?
Yeah. There's a few honestly. Miami is one of them. Ohio State is still evaluating me. Auburn is evaluating me pretty heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple. Kentucky as well. Kentucky does talk to me a lot. It's just a lot of schools. Most of the schools that talk to me, they just haven't. It's really just the film portion. I mean, I don't have a lot of film, which is so yeah.
So these are obviously some really big name schools that
Hmm.
could change the trajectory of your recruitment. How do
Hmm.
you kind of evaluate you know the bigger names maybe coming in now versus the ones who maybe have been with you from the beginning, or for a while? I
Hmm.
mean, are you still pretty open to everybody, or
Hmm.
do you kind of maybe feel loyal to some schools that have kind of been after you hard for quite some time?
Obviously the loyalty to the schools that I have been with the whole time stick through, but again, I am young and haven't
Yeah.
played that much, so I am open to pretty much anything. But that loyalty to the schools that took a chance on me early is definitely gonna stick.
What is it like to hear some of those names like Ohio State, USC, kind of knock on the door there?
Honestly, it's a blessing. Just growing up around, I've been around football my whole life, seeing schools like that, and now they're recruiting me. It's awesome. It's a great feeling, honestly. It's really cool, and I'm just blessed to be in the situation that I'm in.
Obviously, this thing will get a little more stressful in the next couple months, and it's always tough with quarterbacks because you guys have a different timeline than any other player, because most schools are only going to take one. How,
Yes,
how do
sir.
you kind of approach this? I don't know if the right word is the right phrase for this is chess match, but I mean, do you kind of pay attention to what other schools are doing at the quarterback position, maybe who they've offered and who's visiting, or do you kind of just say I'm going to make my own decision when I'm ready, or I mean, is there any kind of internal thought you have to have about maybe not losing a spot somewhere?
Well, that obviously does play a factor. Just seeing how many kids they've offered, who they've offered, like what style of quarterbacks they're offering, just to see if
Yeah.
I do have a chance at that specific school. But honestly, I'm just playing my own game. Just seeing where I fit, get in where I fit in, and just being the best me possible. Try not to worry about other people as much, and just worried about my own journey.
That being said, what are you just looking for in a school, in a football program, that's going to help you make your decision whenever that time comes? What are you just valuing in this process?
Honestly, me personally, what I think is very important is a good relationship with your position coach, because that's who
Yeah.
you're going to be with the majority of the time. A place that I can go compete. Obviously, there's going to be little whatever is going on in the program, but just a place that I can go compete, and no matter what, I have a fair chance of getting my spot, whether that's now or later, just eventually getting in, and just a place I can call home, truthfully.
Sounds like you might be torn on what you want to do, but are you wanting to try and make a decision, this winter, just to secure a spot, or do you think you can hold out for officials next summer, or is it just too early to tell right now?
Truthfully, I wouldn't. I would say too hard to tell, but
Yeah.
I definitely 100% will be committed by next summer,
Okay.
1000%. The winter, it honestly just depends on just who else offers me, how these visits coming up during the season go. That part is a little difficult to say. So yeah, yes sir.
And then just lastly here, but before I let you get out of here, I know a lot can change over the next couple months when you take these visits, and like you mentioned, there's some other potential offers you're going to be chasing here this season. But among the schools who have offered you, who's kind of got you excited at this point, or who just kind of maybe jumps out as a early front runner in your recruitment, if you have a few.
The main ones that I would say, obviously, Wisconsin, Kansas, Arkansas. Those are probably the three schools I talk to the most. And then going back on the West, kind of, I like SMU a lot.
Yeah,
Arizona State, Washington, obviously, those schools. Those are the schools that I keep in contact with the most. So I guess
gotcha.
I'm not really set on a like decision. So I would just put it in those schools I talk to the most. Yes,
All
sir.
right, Chance. We definitely appreciate your time, and have a good rest of your season here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.